ones that are making bad choices. But when you're at the bottom of the barrel, you don't have much choices. So all you're going to do is try to survive. So we shouldn't be too judgmental about people that are at the bottom and that are making bad choices because those are the only choices they have. So we should be thankful that the Creator did not put us in that same position. Because if we were in that same position, what would we do? Right? So all the blessings we have, we should say, Toda Yah, that I'm not in that position where, I could be that drug addict, or I mean the person who has to steal just to survive, or rob and kill just to survive. Now, it's a different issue when you don't have to do that and you do that. This is what really makes you a wicked person because you have other choices. You have better choices that you can make, but you still want to do wrong. And this is what the Creator has an issue with. Because just as we could see with Pharaoh didn't have to be so mean, but he was anyway, because he wanted to make himself feel good, because he felt that he was God. And so Moses, so we see that, so the people did not listen to Moses because they were distracted. And so people who are barely trying to make ends meet have a hard time keeping from working on Shabbat, right? So if you're just trying to survive, you got time to to stop working on Shabbat?
Yeah.
That's if you have faith. But if you don't have faith in the Creator, it's going to be very hard to keep Shabbat because that's a big decision you have to make. I need the money, and here's an opportunity to make some money. But on the other hand, the Creator is saying, I want you to stop working. So what are you going to do? That's a difficult choice, right? But obviously, those of us that are here today know what we're going to do, because I'm sure you could be working today if you wanted to, or you could be doing something else. But you understand that there's a bigger picture here. It's not about the money, because the money can come and go at any time. And the Creator is the one that controls it. So by you being obedient to the Creator and doing His will, He will open up another door for you that will be even more lucrative than what you could have gotten today on His holy day. And that's the math that people don't understand. This is the modern math, right? Do less and get more. But that's how the Creator works. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and said, Go in and speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he may let the children of Israel go out of this land. And Moses said, Wait a minute now. Let's think about this. See, even the children of Israel are not paying me any mind. And now you want me to go speak to Pharaoh? You think he's going to listen to me? I can't even speak clearly without stammering. That's why he was like saying, well, my lips are sealed, I can't speak, I stutter and all that. And God says, don't worry about it. I will teach you what to speak. I will have Aaron speak for you. And it seems that in this situation, Moses actually is doubting. So because he is finding all kinds of excuses as to why he can't do that. So he's lacking faith. But the Creator wasn't going to let him off the hook. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, commanding the children of Israel and Pharaoh to bring the children out of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And then after that, it goes and it talks about the heads of the father's house, and it gives us some information about the lineage of Levi. It says Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, and then they have the families of Simeon, and they give the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations. Levi had 3 sons, right? Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. And then they tell us who the sons of Gershom are. And then we have the sons of Kohath, which are Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. And the sons of Merari. And it said these are the families of the Levites according to their generations. Now they're going to this so that we can see the lineage of where Moses came from. And so we see that Moses and Aaron are the sons of Amram. And then Korach is the son of Izhar. And Amram and Izhar are brothers. And this is important to see just how high up the line Korach was in the Levitical pecking order. Right? And these are the heads of the father's house of the Levites according to their families. And Aaron and Moses, whom the Lord spoke to, and they said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their hosts. And they are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. So this also puts into perspective how Korach felt when he was not part of the delegation that was invited to speak to Pharaoh. So we can deduce that Korach has been jealous of Moses ever since. Because you know about the Korach rebellion, right? And so here they're giving you the background. So when you see Korach acting the way he's acting, you can see that this was something that was building from way back in Egypt. Because he felt like, why don't you know? I should be important enough for you to bring me to speak to Pharaoh, because he felt like he was a leader. He was a leader of his clan. So then we continue, and it says, and God spoke unto Moses in the land of Egypt. It says, I am the Lord. You speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I speak unto you. And once again, Moses tried to back out of it. He says, how shall Pharaoh listen to me? And God said, I made you a God to Pharaoh, and Aaron shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, that he let the children of Israel go out from this land. And he said, but like I told you before, I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But he will not listen to you. And I will lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth my host, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgment. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. So again, this is a metaphor because the God has no form, right? So when he says, I will stretch out my hand, and this is where people of other religions might think that God is a man, because a lot of these descriptions of the Creator are attributes of people, right? Of forms of people, my hand and my arm. So a lot of people would be under the misconception that God has a form, but that is not so. This is just a metaphor, a way of speaking. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so they did. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 82 years when he spoke to Pharaoh. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when Pharaoh asks you, show me a sign of your credentials, tell Aaron, take your rod and cast it down before Pharaoh, that it become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh and did so as the Lord commanded. But Pharaoh was not impressed. He then called for his wise men and sorcerers. They also did in a like manner with their secret arts. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rod, and Pharaoh was vexed. His heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them as the Lord said. And the Lord said unto Moses, go back to Pharaoh in the morning when he goes out into the water. You shall meet him there with the rod which was turned into a serpent into your head. And you shall say unto him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me unto you, saying, let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And so far you have not complied. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, in this you shall know that I am the Lord. Why you think he keeps emphasizing, you shall know that I am the Lord? Pharaoh thinks he's God, right? So he is trying to emphasize that. And as we see, Raquel, you talked about arrogance today. And this is the characteristic. This is the characteristic that all leaders that, let the power go to their heads, this is the characteristics they all have. And like the brother pointed out last week, Putin is one of them. And we go back to others. Matter of fact, we have one here in this country. He got a taste of that power and he didn't want to let it go. He's still trying to get it back. Right? That's arrogance. Narcissistic, right? And this is what this story is about. So people say, oh, we keep reading stories that happened thousands of years ago. Read something, let's talk about something current. But if you look into what the story is about, what it's alluding to, it's alluding to human nature. And we haven't changed one bit. The narrative may be different. The setting might be different. But the essence of it is the same. And it's showing us good examples and bad examples. And the thing is, which will you choose? What role do you want to play in these scenarios? Because it's the same thing being repeated over and over. So, do you want to be the Pharaoh? Do you want to be the Egyptians? Do you want to be the Israelites? And just because you're Israelite don't mean everything is good, because you had Israelites that were good and Israelites that were bad. So which one do you want to play? Because the roles are open, right? I mean, not all. Some of them, yeah, you have to audition, right? But some of them are already taken. Well, you can't have that role. But there's other roles you could have. And which one do you want to play? And really, it's not a game, but it's still a part that you have to do. And so he says, let's say, in this you shall know that I am the Lord. See, I will smite the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood. Why did he turn the river into blood? He said because that's what they worship, because they worship the river. Why else did they turn the river into blood?
Egyptians use the water from the river to drink it, clean or cook and stuff like that. So
they use the water to drink, cook. There's another reason. Why is the other reason? Okay. Then he killed those kids in there.
Only two that-
Then he drown the children in there. The blood of the children is on his hands. So when you see he turned that into blood, so of course now they can't use the water, but also they did believe that it was like the river was like a god to them because the river gave life to that region. So they worshiped the river, but also this is where all the blood of these children are in. Okay, he didn't cut them, but still he killed them, and the blood is in the life. The life is in the blood, right? So that's the symbolism of why he turned the river into blood. One of them. I mean, it's on multiple levels. And he says, and the fish that are in the river shall die, and the river shall become foul. You ever walk by some foul water? And he says, say unto Aaron, take your rod and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt. And he turned them, not just the rivers, but all the water that they had turned into blood. And there shall be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels and wood and stone. And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded. So how many days can you go without water? We have any nurses in here? How many days? How many? 2 or 3?
But some people say they fast for 40 days.
Okay. So some people are saying from the nurses are saying 2 or 3 days. So, but this thing lasted for 7 days, right? Well, at least it didn't say it lasted for 7 days. So 7 days later, God told Moses to do another plague number 2, right? Because I was thinking about that. The water might have eventually cleared out because after 3 days, you're done. So there had to be some kind of water after a while that cleared up. But the initial shock got their attention, I'm sure. And also, like Ema said, some people fast for 40 days and 40 nights. But I only heard of Moses doing that. And maybe also they claim that JC did it as well, right? But other than that, I don't see how anybody could do that. Right? We hear people running a hunger fast, and they go maybe 20 days or something like that. But to reach 40 days, that in itself is a miracle. Only the Creator can make that happen. But the average person can't do that. And he says, right, and then he told, and the magicians of the Egyptians actually did the same thing. They duplicated what Aaron did, but they could not undo it. So this is the difference. You can imitate, but you can't duplicate. And that's when you know that God is the stronger power. So this goes to show us that the Egyptians had power. They were able to do things. But where they were wrong is they became arrogant about it. And they thought that they were the gods. And this is what we see all the time, right? When you see people who have power, I know where I come from. I've seen people abuse power. And like I said, people abuse it here as well. You know, I'm from Haiti, in case you don't know. Some of you may not know. But we've had dictatorships in my country. And the same thing happens to the people that let the power go to their heads. And like I said, it doesn't only happen in Caribbean countries or in Africa. It happens in Europe. It happens in America. Wherever you have people that have absolute power, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that is why one of the things that I've always admired about this country, even though they have other issues, but as far as stability, where every so many years they're able to elect new people and have a peaceful transfer of power, That's an amazing thing. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Except only as of recently we had a hiccup. But
Donald Trump.
you know, that's not the norm. And hopefully it's not gonna be the new trend.
2 more years.
You know, because that's something to be concerned about.
Gang, gang.
And you know, we're laughing about it, but the truth of the matter is this is a serious time. And this is why we got to get right with the Creator,
Gang.
because the Creator is the only one that's going to be able to help us. And even Martin Luther King knew that he could not go up against this country by power. We'd have been wiped out day one. That's why he had to use a different tactic to be able to get as far as he did. And they still killed him. You know what I mean? They're still going to kill us. But the only way we could fight this is by doing righteously with the Lord. And let the Lord fight for us. Obviously, we're not going to just stand there. Hit me on one side, I turn the cheek on the other side. That's a different tactic, but we still have to find a way to stay in harmony with the Creator, and He's going to deliver us. Wasn't He the one that brought us out of Egypt? But at the same time, we still had to have the courage to be able to follow Moses, because he was doing the right thing. So it's a very touchy situation, because there's no way we can go up against the powers. Like, we don't have that kind of manpower or that kind of, we don't even have an army. So never mind trying that. And that's why we have to continue to hold on to God's unchanging hand and do the right thing. And at the same time, we have to maintain our integrity
Gang.
and not allow people to abuse us. That's very important. It doesn't mean that we roll over, but we definitely can go head to head, because it's not going to work. Anybody agree with that, or you have a better plan? Anybody have a better plan? So, and it's about, and even then, it's all about doing the right thing. Once you do the right thing, you see everything just falls into line. And we see, it says the magician, and the Lord said, tell Aaron, stretch forth your hand again. And for the plague number 2. And he brought the creepy frogs, right? And it's like when Moses told Pharaoh, if you don't let my people go, I'm going to bring frogs upon you. I can imagine Pharaoh say, frogs? Seriously? You don't bring frogs on me? I'm Pharaoh, man. I'm not afraid of no frogs. But these were little creepy little frogs, and they were all over the place. They said they're going to come in your house. They're going to come in your bedroom. They're going to come in your bed, and all over the place. Any of you been to Florida? I've been in Florida. I know every time I open the door and close the door, a frog gets squashed in the door. I mean, so imagine that multiplied 1,000 times. So that was really, I can't even think of the word, but that was creepy, right? To have all those animals in there. And so anyway, that got Pharaoh's attention. And then he asked Moses to get rid of the frogs. And Moses did that. And Moses said, okay, I will ask the Lord to remove the frogs on your behalf. And he said, what time do you want this to happen? And Pharaoh said, tomorrow. And Moses said, be it according to your word, that you may know that there is none like the Lord our God. And the frogs shall depart from you, from your houses. And he did that. And once he got respite, he went right back to being stubborn. So he hardened his heart again. And so actually when all the frogs died, they didn't just disappear. They gathered them into heaps and the land stank. Remember when we had a garbage strike in New York? And you had the garbage all over the sidewalk? Well, this was even worse than that because this is a stench of death. And it probably took a while before they could actually clean that up. And when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and did not listen unto them as the Lord had predicted. That's just like when you're going to die because of your drinking and smoking, and you make all kinds of promises. I'll be good. I'll never touch that stuff again. Anybody ever been there? Where you had a hangover or something, or actually the doctor told you, you're really sick and you're about to die. And then you want to get right. And you say, I'm going to stop doing all of that if I just get another chance, if I get my life extended. And then when you get a clean bill of health, you feel better. You realize you have a new lease on life, and it's back to business as usual. Ever see anybody like that? If not you might know somebody like that. Somebody, or two, or three. I don't know. And the Lord said to Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out your rod and smite the dust of the earth that it may become gnats throughout all the lands of Egypt. So this is the third plague. And Moses and Aaron did that, and then you had gnats all over them. And even the magicians tried to do this, but they could not. And they said, this is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He was even more vexed. So he was like, oh, man. And even his own people were like, this is above us. And he did not listen to them. And then in the fourth plague, he says, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh when he goes to the water. Thus shalt say, thus said the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Or else, if you don't let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies. So he keeps using all these different tactics. And all these things, or some of them represent gods that the Egyptians worship. And now he's showing them that these things have no power over me. I control all the things that you worship and believe have power, but I am the true source.
Hallelujah.
And that's the whole point he's trying to make. That's why he keeps saying, you shall know that I am the Lord. Not this, not that, not you, but I am the Lord. And when we understand who the Lord is, then we could put things in proper perspective.
Okay.
And it said, they will go into your houses, and the house of the Egyptians shall be full of flies. However, I will make a distinction between the land of Goshen, which my people live, that no swarm of flies shall be there, so that you may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. So he keeps driving that point over and over. And I will put a division between my people by tomorrow. And then so all the flies came. And then, of course, they had enough of that. And he says, and so Pharaoh says, he called Moses, he said, all right, you go sacrifice to your God in the land of Egypt. And Moses said, no, this is not going to work because the sacrifices that we are going to offer to the Lord our God are abominable to the Egyptians. If we offer them in front of the Egyptians, will they not stone us? That would be disrespectful to the Egyptians. So we were going a 3 days journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us. And Pharaoh said, okay, I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. In the meantime, just don't go too far and entreat for me that I may get relief from these flies. And Moses said, okay, I'm going, but I will entreat the Lord on your behalf regarding the swarm of flies. Only let Pharaoh not deal deceitfully anymore and not letting the people go to sacrifice the Lord. Because Moses is seeing a pattern here. Every time he entreats the Lord, Pharaoh goes back on his word. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord, and the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh and company, and remained not one swarm of flies. And Pharaoh hardened his heart again and did not let the people go. It's like he thinks the Creator is bluffing, right? Because every time he says, do this or else, and he says, okay, okay. So once again, the Lord said to Moses, go in unto Pharaoh and tell him, thus said the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, let my people go that they may serve me. And this message is consistent with what he has been saying all along. And then you have the fifth plague where he brings out, it's a different, right? He's bringing out cattle disease, which is a different form, but it's a different manifestation, but it's the same scenario. So we keep seeing the same pattern over and over and over. It goes like this. Moses delivers the same warning, and Pharaoh scoffs at it. The plague is inflicted on Pharaoh and his cronies, and Pharaoh cries uncle, and the plague is lifted. Then he hardens his heart and reneges on his promise, right? And then, so we keep going through the same thing over and over again. So I'm not going to go through all the plagues because it's just very repetitive, but it goes to show you that at that time, it was different tactics, but the same scenario, right? So it's the same thing today. Whatever form it comes in, still God is behind it. He's in charge of everything. And the Lord says to Pharaoh, rise up early in the morning. And he also told Pharaoh, surely by now I could have killed you and your people with pestilence if I wanted to. But I cause you to stand to show you my power, so that you can experience my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the world. By the way, I'm not doing this just for you. I want to send a clear message to all those like you and after you. Because, like I said before, this is timeless. And this is why we read this, because we're able to see what the Creator wants us to do, or like I said, bad example is a good example, and what he wants us to do. So that pretty much is wraps up everything, and he says, you're still exalting yourself over my people, that you will not let them go. And he says, behold, tomorrow I will cause it to rain a grievous hail. So now he's got that other, the hail. And by the way, I find it interesting. 2 days ago, it hailed by me. And now I'm saying, what a coincidence. They were talking about hail in the Sidra, and it rarely hails, around here, right? Especially at this time. So I'm saying, is that a coincidence? Because a lot of times things happen that relate to the Sidra. I don't know if that happens to you, where you're seeing things that you read in the Sidra, and it's happening in your time.
Yes.
And I'm saying, can it be a coincidence? I don't know. But yeah, this is thousands of years ago, but yet it's still relevant. So you just have to be able to recognize it. So I'm sure that's not a big deal, but the fact is it's a little signs. And that's why God said, I will show my signs and wonders. so that you may know that I am still in charge. You might say, it's a little thing, but still, those are what the signs are. Some are big, some are small. But he's still speaking to us. He's still revealing himself. And that's why I say, and the name, the Yud Hey Vav Hey, has past, present, and future. It's in there. Because in Hebrew, if you look at the verb to be, yeah, it's obviously it's all from the same root. So anyway, and so he says, so this time Pharaoh sent for Aaron and Moses and Aaron. He says, I have sinned this time. This time, this time. Let's put emphasis on that, right? And the Lord is righteous, and I, my people, are wicked. Entreat the Lord, and let there be enough of these mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go. And Moses said, okay, as soon as I'm gone out of the city, I will entreat the Lord that the thunder and hail shall cease. See, Moses was smart enough not to give him respite while he was still under his reach, because he could have killed him there. So he said, when I get in a safe distance, then I will make this go away. Of course, I would entreat the Lord, that you may know that the earth is the Lord's. And this is what some people still don't understand, right? They think that they own the earth and that they're entitled. So Moses went out from Pharaoh and spread forth his hand unto the Lord, and the hail stopped. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, as the Lord had spoken. So this concludes this week's reading, but we know the story continues next week. And as we read these stories, what happened thousands of years ago, we think is ludicrous, right? We said, this is insane. What is it going to take for Pharaoh to get it through his thick head? So what is it going to take for us to wake up and smell the coffee? That this old story is still relevant today because our behavior has not changed much, and that God is still on the throne. And it behooves us to hearken unto his word, to serve him and do that which is right in his eyes. And we say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And if you notice, throughout the thing it kept saying, he would not listen. So when you look up the word listen, listen just means pretty much to pay attention, right? But in this context, when you say listen to me, that Pharaoh is saying, listen to me. He's not saying just pay attention, but you have to do what I say. Just like when a parent tells a kid, listen to me. He's not saying just stop and give me your ears. He's saying, pay attention to what I'm saying, but follow my instructions. So when he says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, he wants you to hear it, but with the understanding that all the attributes of the Creator, whether it's El Shaddai or whatever name you want to give the Creator, all of those are one and the same. So don't worship any attribute. Give all the glory to God. That's what it's saying. Right? So I just wanted to bring that. That's what it means when you say listen. And it means for you to process and understand the implications, as well for you to take action in accordance to what has been said. You need to consider the information and act upon it accordingly. So, in closing, I just want to ask, maybe I might have answered some of it, but I want to hear from you. Why do we read this story over and over?
We can learn from it. We can learn more from it. Sometimes, as you said, it takes us to a higher level. would we get some understanding? For example, when you wrote in the made mention in the introduction about the Creator mentioning His name being one thing to Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, but now to Moshe, this is my name, in which an emphasis saying that, hey, this is real. This is real stuff now. Okay, I am Almighty, but I'm more than Almighty, and you will see now how that works. So, for me, as an example of why we read it, and I've read it many, many times, but to make that distinction, I had not. But this time I did. So that's what, for me, one of the reasons why we read this over.
Good. So you got something out of it. Well, I'm glad, because honestly, when I want to bring something that you can benefit from. I want to, and like I said, a lot of these words come to me, and I capture it, and I just want to bring it. So I'm happy to hear that you get some out of it.
And just was a post note in terms of, I watched my brother in Israel when we go to the Bima, and he follows the Hebrew. Now I have to admit, the Mosiah is my witness. I get lazy, okay, and don't do it. But when you started to call the Creator's name, just this last week, I started reading the English, then I looked back over to the Hebrew and see the name. So again, it is a process where it helps elevate us.
Right.
I'm speaking for me, but I think if we're serious about it, it'll do it.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem.
I look at the.
You speak loud because there are people in the.
I look at the. More praise and honor, going on, my God. I look at the title of the Sidra, and it says Vayikra, meaning
Vayera.
Right.
Vayera, I appeared.
I appear.
Yeah.
And you can look at it and see that God has appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob previously, but in this, He's actually showing you who He is. He's revealing to the world, I am God, and there is nothing besides me in this posture here. That's how I looked at it and see it. And He's telling it over and over again. He's telling Moses that to tell Pharaoh that I am God. And then in the first plague, He gives 7 days. And the rest of the plagues, we don't know how long. There's no time on it until Moses then comes back to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh asking Moses to remove the plague. And then Moses then has to go back to God and ask God to remove it. So it's God now letting the world know I'm in control of everything. But I guess.
Oh, that's what it's saying.
Yeah, basically.
And He wants to make it clear because, like I said,
Abundantly.
Yes.
people keep thinking they're in charge. And they're in charge of some things, but still, there's a limit of what they're in charge of. Any other ladies have some?
Another point. You see how scientists sometimes, even today, they make things and do things and thinking it's going to better or enhance their pockets. And God does something to have it not to be so. He's in control. They make dams, they do all sorts of things, they move mountains, they take animals from certain places and put them in different places. And if the Creator didn't create that animal in this area, it doesn't belong there. And crazy things just happen because they may move an animal from one area to the next. So it's all in God's hands still.
Yes, because God, as you can see, He was using nature, different elements of nature to prove His point. So I'd like to hear from the sisters in the back. Okay, the cat get that on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. She raised that hand first. Go ahead.
Like,
Yeah.
elaborate on with Israel and with.
Yeah. Can you speak so you can be heard in the?
I just want to elaborate on what Brother Israel and Brother Obadiah said. When the Most High shows who's in control, He shows everyone who's in control. He doesn't just show our people; He shows all of the other nations by doing to them, or causing His wrath to fall upon them because of things that they have done, maybe to us or maybe to each other. He's fair and He's equal to everyone. He doesn't punish you if you don't deserve to be punished, or enlighten you if you don't deserve to be enlightened. So I just want to say that although He is our creator, He's the creator of all things and of all nations, and He has rules and He has things that we all should abide by. Not just one person do this thing and one person do another thing. He expects good out of everyone and everything that He has created.
Right. And I have to agree with that. But also, like I said, maybe not today, or maybe there's good and evil. That's what it boils down to, right? And I think I might have alluded to that earlier. And we have to choose what side we want to serve. But although I know it's not like good is on this side and evil is on that side, right? It's within us. And it's a battle within us. And we want to say, let the good be the dominant part of our nature, as opposed to allowing the negative part to dominate. And that's a whole struggle of life, of man, is to be able to fight that duality that is within us. And one side is going to win. So which one you want? So you choose. It's up to you. Yes, anything in the corner right there? It's you.
No,
All right.
no, the only thing I just wanted to say was that, like how you poured out today, the blood in the river, about the children, and I never ever thought of that. I just thought you turned the water to blood, but you brought to us that it was because of the boy kids that he killed in the river.
Yeah. To me, it makes sense. And that is why he is going to be deal with Egypt so severely, because those atrocities. I mean, this is not something that you can just sweep under the rug. Okay, I repent. No, this is just like unspeakable what he did. And of course, we know that's not the only people who have done atrocities, right? As recently, when I say recently, a few hundred years, the Atlantic slave trade, and plus what is still going on here today and in even other parts of the world, all those atrocities, somebody's got to pay. And God is not going to let you get away with it. He's going to give you enough rope to hang yourself. But again, like I said, don't choose that path. He's showing you which path to choose. I mean, he's showing you both paths, and he's saying choose one, pretty much. The right one. Yes, I mean, yeah, but it's all based on the individual, what he thinks is right. But we can see what he's telling us, what he's trying to direct us towards. And okay, any others before I close out?
No, but next week, don't tell the bank.
No, I'm not going to tell you about next week, although you already know the story. There's no surprises here. Yes, there's no surprises here. But like Ovadia said, the more we read this, sometimes something new comes up. And I've been blessed that the Creator is revealing different little tidbits here and there for me. And one of the things that I get a little frustrated about sometimes is that I get a flash and I'm in the shower and I can't write it down and I forget about it. And or I'm somewhere I don't have, because honestly, if I don't write down the thoughts, it's gone.
You're
It,
not alone with it.
it's gone.
Well, I got one more question.
Yes.
Do you think if God had not continued to harden Pharaoh's heart, how many plagues would he have went through, or how long would it have taken for him to release the children of Israel?
Not sure I understand what you mean.
God continued to harden Pharaoh's heart.
Right, yeah, hard is hard.
Right, God kept hardening his
Yeah,
heart. I
hard is hard.
understand what I'm
I
saying.
didn't think that you would have added that we were gonna.
Or if God hadn't hardened his heart,
Had not continued to harden his heart.
it's hard to say. But this guy was so arrogant that it wasn't until it touched him when he lost his son. Because all those other inconveniences, they were inconvenience to him, right? But it really didn't affect him as bad. But then when he got a taste of his own medicine, what he did when he killed the first, well, not the first one, all the sons, all these people, and then not just the kids, but even all the adults that he enslaved and made them serve him. God said, no, I don't want them to serve men, I want them to serve me. And you are impeding them from serving me because you're insisting that you're not getting a day off. You're not getting 3 days off. You're going to work for me to make my pocket, get fatter. And this is what God is trying to teach us, that not to be so materialistic. You say, well, of course you need material to survive. That's what Maslow's law of hierarchy is about. You need material to survive. Yes, but how much do you need? How much can you consume? Do you make material your God? No. You have to use material according to what you need. But after that, now you can devote to your spiritual development and being a better person. That's what I think that one of the lessons is. Don't make material your God, and don't make man your God. God is God. And make no mistake about it. Okay, can we close it out now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so with that, I say Shabbat Shalom. And we're going to collect the tithe and offerings. And are there any announcements?
Can we sing What a Mighty God?
Yes.
Yeah, well, afterwards, did you get in touch with how many people that think they're going to the trip?
Yes. Deborah came back this week. So they're going to have a bus that's going, I think, from here. Yeah, but they do, but they're going to be leaving here very early because the first service is at 9:30 a.m. In order to get to Jersey at 9:30 a.m., you got to leave here at least 7:30, I guess, because they have to make 2 stops, one in Brooklyn, one in Queens. So by the time, and then they have a program after Shabbat, which means you're not going to get back here until 9-10 p.m. So that's a whole day. And she said it's $45 for the price. But you're going to be there all day. That's what you want. But I know some people are driving. They're going together. And they'll be driving so they'll have the flexibility to, leave when they're ready to leave, as opposed to being tied into the whole group. Those of you who are not here last week, how many of you are planning on going to New Jersey on February 4th? Okay. You're not going to be there.
Mother walked
She
in.
downstairs.
Okay.
I asked her.
Right.
So the meeting will be done here and then travel over there, the bus.
I think that's what Deborah had in mind. But she's going to be here next week. She can give you more details because it's on February 4th. You heard about that, right? them going to Jersey, they're having a Unity Shabbat.
No, I didn't get it.
Yes, there is a Ashkenazi synagogue in Jersey where they have one of our, Rabbi Eliyahu from Bet Shalom.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so he's over there. He's doing services there with them, and they're inviting our congregations from New York to come over there, and that's in commemoration with the Black History Month. So it's going to be, those synagogues and those who can go there will go. We'll probably wind up closing here for that Shabbat for those who. But then again, everybody's not going. But at the same time, majority is going, so we might just close down on the 4th, and then we'll be open again the following weekend, and we'll resume. Yes, you got a type over there?
And also, the memorial for Rabbi Levy is coming up too, on the 18th.
Okay, well, I'm waiting to get information on that. Each year, Rabbi Shlomo would have commemoration for Chief Rabbi Levy. I'm not sure what his plans are doing this year, if there's any plans.
Yes, he said he's going to, but he'll talk to you this week.
He called you this week?
I talked to him.
Okay,
He said, yes, he wants to happen. But, he'll get back,
he'll let you know. Okay, so to be determined, but definitely the 18th was Chief Rabbi Levy's birthday, so around that time there's always something that is done to remember him.
18th of February?
Yes,
That's Saturday.
yeah, he is the founder of this synagogue, and also before that he was the founder of Bet Shalom, and then here, and also he taught many people, and his life impacted a lot of people. So we always, Rabbi Matthew says, never forget the bridge that brought you safely across the boundaries of your ignorance. So we always remember that. And Chief Rabbi always used to say that. I never met Rabbi Matthews, but I know some of the things he quoted because my teacher was quoting them all the time. So I remember them. Are we done? Okay, we're done. So you said you wanted to sing a song.
Well, I mean, like, the Reverend likes us to sing, one of
Okay,
my.
go ahead. I'll let you lead that one.
What a mighty God we serve. Hallelujah. What a mighty God we serve. Oh, yes, so what a mighty God we
Everybody. I'm gonna let it shine.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Even in the dark, let it shine. Even in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Even in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it
If we're gonna sing, but I don't know what they want, I don't have us to sing or not. But most of the time when we go out, they used to ask that old hymn to sing. I think we should have a choir rehearsal, if it's all right for Paul, even if we have to do it after service next week. Because the following week we'll be going out there. You agree, Paul?
Well, I don't know what type of service it is, since it's not one of our congregations.
But I said, just in case they'll ask us to sing, we should have something, trumpet and sing together. Right, got you. Yeah, but we should go.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with rehearsal, whether we sing or not, right? We all might need a little tuning up. Regardless. But actually, the band only choir needs no rehearsal. They're always ready. They're always ready, but yeah. I mean, of course, it's always good to So that's a good suggestion, but it's up to them if they if they are able to do so. If there is no further comments, well, please stand as we close out. There is a kiddush, I believe. Small kiddush.
Yes.
We make the Mishabarak for those who made an offering. He who blessed our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless this entire holy congregation, along with all the other holy congregations, them, their wives, sons, and daughters, and all that is theirs, and those who dedicate synagogues for prayer, and those who enter them to pray, and those who give lamps for illumination, and wine for Kiddush and Havdalah, bread for guests and charity for the poor, and all who are involved faithfully in the needs of the community. May the Holy One bless this heap with every word, and remove from them every affliction, heal their entire body, and forgive their every iniquity, and send blessing and success to all their handiwork, along with all Israel, their brethren, and let us say, Amen. Yivarech Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yikunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance towards you and grant you peace. Shabbat shalom. Shavua tov.
Yeah, that's fine.